Welcome to the Voncast Show. Hope everyone is doing well today. Happy Friday. It's the weekend. It's almost here. I can feel it, you know? So today is a solo episode. It's going to be a shorter one. It's going to be something I'm going to call Casual Fridays. For those who don't know, Casual Fridays is something I think the workplace has sometimes where you can just not have to wear a certain professional attire to a limit. So this is kind of what this is. Not really scripted. I'm just going to really just talk about how my week's been and what's going on. So the past 7 days have been a lot. It's ups and downs. It is a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, some good stress, some not so good. So I just want to delve into that, you know. So yeah, this is a very casual conversation, podcast, just myself. Maybe I'll do these more in the future, but you know, I've been documenting my mental health and my recovery through podcasting. So I guess this falls in line with it. Last Friday was really cool. I led the meeting for for the first time in my 12-step program where I got to share my story and of recovery and addiction. And I realized it's not so tough. I was really kind of panicking. I've been in this meeting, going to this meeting for 17 months, and I don't know, I was kind of worried. I'm like, man, what am I gonna say? But I realized, hold on, I do a podcast. I've said this story many times in different versions. I can do this here. So I spoke for about 30 minutes and it went pretty well. So that was something that I was kind of leading up to prior to that speaking arrangement. I was taking down notes. I was timing myself because there's a timer, you know, just anxiety, man, and it went well. And it's funny because one of the people said, wow, I didn't know you were so vocal. I don't tell them I do a podcast, but, it feels cool to do that. It feels cool to share my story. And speaking of sharing my story, I spoke at Professor Allen's class last Monday. Again, it was like 45 minutes sharing my story and also sharing 4 things I wish I knew when I was younger. May sound familiar because I did a 2-part episode on that topic with Jewel Kim. And it was really cool to give back in that sense where I used to go to this school I attended at, or I presented at, Cal State Northridge. And I used to be in that same classroom represented. And it always trips me out how I'm on the other side now. Before I was in the seats as a student. Maybe that was like, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, 2017. I'm bad at math. And it was cool just to be on the other side of being a guest speaker. I've done these presentations before, but I feel like this time around I nailed it and it's a lot more smooth. Over time with presenting, I learned how to kind of, I don't know, present a little better, if that makes sense. It was a PowerPoint, added some memes in there, of course. And it was just cool. I felt like it was really cool to give back and just share my story. And outside of just the recovery part, but just my story, um, you know, going to school there, taking multiple breaks, taking 11 years to graduate, on and off. And it was really cool to engage with the audience and the students. And I don't know, it was just like, wow, it makes me realize how far I've come. I don't realize this pretty much I live, day to day. I don't look at the big picture, but I just felt really proud of myself and I'm glad that I was able to be of service. And on Tuesday, I had an interview, or not interview, I had my first session with a new therapist. It went really well. I really enjoy the conversation we had and just the feedback from my therapist. She's awesome. I get to see her next month update. Um, and one of the things that I talked about in the class presentation was reaching out for help. I was never really into that. And now I am definitely seeking out more resources. And we talked about anxiety, talked about, I don't know, for me personally, I feel that when I'm really anxious, I tend to rush things. And oftentimes it's not good. There's no time constraint really. It's just this time constraint I'm putting in my head. And sometimes I don't know why. I mean, we figured out why on the in the therapy session, but pretty much it just goes back to growing up and feeling like I had to finish right away. Pretty, like this sense of urgency when it didn't need to be there. So I don't know about you, but I definitely experience the sense of urgency when it's not there, when I have anxiety. And when that happens, I'm so anxious, caught up with my emotions and feelings and, and, heart racing and all that, the adrenaline, that I don't have the clearest mindset. And sometimes when that happens, I don't always think straight, don't have the best clarity to make mistakes, work and whatnot, and just in general. So I'm learning that I got to take a step back sometimes, take a deep breath. I don't do very often. Honestly, I think I do more shallow breaths than deep breathing. So that's something I can work on. And it's really cool that I can share, be honest with my therapist. Because in the past, I was a little like reserved a little bit, but now it's a lot easier for me to share and share my story so they can kind of get a better, gauge of where I'm at in my journey and what I need. I asked, what else did I ask? How to manage ADHD because I don't feel I need to take medication, but that will require that I have to do a lot of self work in that sense because I can't always be like super focused all the time or even too hyper focused. But I have to do things that medicine. How do I say this? Since I'm doing, since I'm coping with ADHD without medication, I had to go about certain ways just to manage it, as opposed to I feel like when you take medication for ADHD, it really helps with a lot of the symptoms. So here I'm just managing it. I know that what I take, the Wellbutrin, that helps out, helps out with my depression. I kind of don't want to go. I don't want to up my dosage. It might help with my ADHD, but I don't know. I like my little dosage. So that was cool. And then something super stressful happened the other day. Uh, Pretty much just living situation. Someone next to me is just being really loud. They were karaokeing at like 4 in the morning. Uh, the other day, I think it was like a Thursday or Wednesday, and no, it was Thursday. No, Wednesday, and that really set me off because we've had discussions before where you know you got to be mindful of the noise, and I'm all about getting my full night's rest of sleep. And I prioritize that. And when that happens, especially over something like that, I don't appreciate it. So yesterday I was really bummed out. We had to talk about it. Again, I kept replaying it in my head, which I don't know, I shouldn't have, but it kind of upset me. No, it really did upset me. And, um, you know, just about common courtesy. So that was there. So on route are some active noise cancellation headphones or earbuds. It's like, what can I do in this situation? It might happen again. And this time I want to do what I can on my end. And it's just, hoping that these earbuds will help because it's just annoying. Like I don't know. It reminds me of maybe when I was younger and I, was in that party phase and we were the neighbors that the other tenants complained about. Like we were partying late, making a lot of noise, jumping up and down, So it's interesting. Maybe this is like, I don't know, I'm seeing the other side of it. It's weird how that is. Growing up out, I was all about the partying and drinking and being loud, and now I'm not. Now I really like my peace. Now I really enjoy that quiet. Maybe I'm getting old. I don't know, but I really enjoy it. I remember, so I work at a store, and there's a store I work at that's a lot closer to me versus the one I work at. A 6 mile difference. I ride my bike, and somebody from the store I used to work at transferred to the store that's closest to me. And I thought to myself, wow, when I shop at this store, dude, it takes like 10 minutes to get to the store. And kind of dawned on me like, wow, typically when I bike to work, it takes about 50 minutes to an hour. So, I told that to the manager that transferred over. We're pretty cool. He goes, hey, man, if you ever want to transfer, for commuting purposes, it's a great store. You'll get in. So I kind of thought about that. I'm like, wow, how much easier would my life be? How much easier would it be just to wake up a little later, have a little more time to myself at home, and just, I don't know, be home in 10 minutes? It takes me an hour to get home. So if we close at 9, if we get off at 10, I get home at 11, If I have to be at work at 5 a.m., if I don't get a ride or something, I got to wake up at 3 a.m. to leave at 3:30 because I like to be a little early. So that kind of dawned on me. And I'm thinking, what, those are the positive. What's the trade-off? I know that my store has more space for its employees, like break rooms and whatnot. And I really like that. I like getting to work early, getting something to eat, take a little nap, cooling off, and at lunch and breaks, I tend to be by myself for the most part and take naps. I'm known at work by taking naps. I'm thinking I don't think I will have those options if I transfer to the store. So I decided not to transfer and just stay at my store because it's so weird how those little things, being quiet, having peace, having my space really makes or breaks my day. And yeah, so that was really frustrating. I feel a lot better today about it. But yeah, I can't keep going, man. I really stressed me out. And this weekend is Easter weekend. I only know that because of work, and also too, Easter and holidays are a trigger for me to use. They have been in the past, and since I was talking about, my recovery journey, I'm not really inclined to use it. It doesn't really bother me so much. I'm not inclined to use drugs or drink, and it's a really nice feeling. I'm seeing the progress. I've said this before on multiple podcast episodes, but two Easters ago, I got off work. I don't know, 5 or 6 p.m. We used to close early for Easter. I stopped by a Five Guys burgers and fries, whatever it's called, for my Easter dinner. I thought, hey, you know, my family's not around. This is my quote unquote Easter dinner. And so I went there and I don't know what transpired, but pretty much because of that, I got high. I think after that, oh, Easter, I have off the next day. I'm gonna get high. So last year, I think, what did I do? Yeah. Last year, I was so paranoid that I was gonna get high on Easter if I bike past that Five Guys, same one. Think I bought food. I bought food just to take home and cook and avoid that route. Put that thought of, oh, I'm gonna get high, and that plagued my mind. So that day, I just chilled at home and like talked to my sponsor, read some recovery material, and just watched anime and fell asleep. This year, I'm not so inclined to use. It's kind of cool that there's that shift in mindset. So yeah, I'm stoked. I'm working Easter and get off. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'll get Five Guys or something. That's like the part of me just wants to go just to kind of prove to myself that, hey, I can enjoy this without getting high, because I feel like I'm a little more confident now in just things I can do, things I can't. I actually got invited to go to a EDM show by a friend who's DJing. It's going to be in San Diego. Offered to give me a ride from LA. I thought about it, but I'm like, maybe I'm not ready, so I didn't go. I told her politely, I'd love to go, but that space is still triggering for me. So I'm learning like some things I can do and can't do. I still don't really go out very much. It's I don't know. I just like being home, and I don't like being around alcohol too much. It's one thing if it's just like a little get together, but at a bar and all that, I don't think I really enjoy it, you know? So maybe the Five Guys thing, I don't know. Probably won't do it, but just like I want to be able to do things that I used to be able to do little by little, obviously without getting high, but some things were triggers before, and I'm at that place where, you know, I can work through these triggers and I don't have to like, you know, just avoid them. There are certain streets in the valley, certain places that I used to avoid like the plague for obvious reasons, because those streets remind me of you know, of getting high, because that's where I got this stuff and this was the route, etc. This time around, like I revisited that area a little bit here and there for other reasons. It wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. So I'm thinking, okay, I can do this. I can go on this street without having to take a detour. I can see this restaurant without like, oh shit, I'm gonna get high. So it's just progress, and it's kind of cool to see that, you know. So yeah, this week has been, as you can tell, overwhelming, anxiety, a lot of stuff going on. Honestly, I didn't really like. I was going to really do a podcast episode on how to like manage triggers and whatnot, but honestly, I'm just tired. To be honest, I wanted to put out a podcast episode this week, but I just was like, I don't really have time to prep for it because of all things that happen. Typically I do some prep time. So next week there will be a podcast episode. There will be a guest, somebody I know who's super cool. She's a musician. She's in a band. Check that out. So other than that, man, that's it. And really, the past few weeks, I've been really into the resting part. You know, I I always felt like I needed to post at certain days and certain times and all this stuff. But now it's like, I can take a break. I deserve it. I work 8-hour shifts. I have a cool little commute to and from. I like what I do. It's just physically and mentally exhausting. And sometimes on my days off, I want to rest up and chill. Like I only have Filipino food on my days off because it's so heavy. And I had that today. Corned beef, eggs, and rice. And I'm just really enjoying it. I don't feel this pressure to like, oh, I gotta do this and that. I just more laid back at my own pace, man. You know. So that is today's Casual Friday episode. Maybe I'll do more of these in the meantime. I don't know. I like to just sometimes just ramble and just talk about how my week goes. Maybe you can relate to it, kind of thing. And also just me being consistent. Just because I don't have a guest doesn't mean I won't do a podcast. But yeah, I hope y'all have a good rest of your Friday, good rest of your weekend. Take care. Happy Easter if you are celebrating, and I will see you next week.